Hello! Recently, someone who watched one of my other videos suggested that I make one about the structure of the Matins or Orthros service. The Matins service has a basic structure that stays the same, but most of the hymns within that structure change every week. That's why you don't have a Matins service book in the pew like you have one for the liturgy. It's also why, if you aren't used to attending Matins, you might think it's just a whole lot of random chanting without much else happening. But if you learn about the structure and see what to expect, you'll begin to recognize the parts that change and the parts that stay the same, and you'll be able to appreciate what's going on in Matins. I've made a little outline of the Matins service as a PDF file and attached it in the comments. It might be helpful to take along with you when you go to Matins, as it gives you a very brief overview of the different parts of the service. It also tells you when to stand and when to sit, which is pretty useful to know. There are a few things to know about the cycles that determine which hymns are sung. Byzantine music has 8 modes, and each week is assigned a mode. The mode determines certain things about the music, such as the scale and the main notes. The first 4 modes are called first mode, second mode, third mode, and fourth mode. The next mode is called plagal first mode, which means that it is related to or a variation of the first mode. The next one is plagal second. Then, just in case you thought you'd figured it out, the next one is called grave mode, or varis in Greek. The last one is plagal fourth. For the most part, we just cycle through these 8 modes, moving from one to the next each week. But sometimes feasts or seasons will interrupt this cycle. For each mode, there's a set of hymns for Matins, so for those things that are sung according to the mode of the week, we just cycle through these sets of music. At the same time, there's another cycle going on. There's a gospel reading in Matins, and unlike the one in liturgy, there are only 11 possible gospel readings for Matins. These are called the 11 Eothinon Gospels. Each week has an assigned reading from 1 to 11, and there are a few hymns and Matins that expound on that particular reading, so they cycle through that set of 11. Okay, is that complicated enough for you? We have a cycle of 8 and a cycle of 11 that are cycling through independently. Well, there are also other hymns that change based on the calendar, for a feast like Epiphany or Pascha, a season like Lent, or a celebration of a saint. This is another reason why we're so thankful for the work of Ages Initiatives. They do the hard work of assembling all the music together each week, so we aren't shuffling heavy books around on the fly during the service. All of this complexity is a big part of why, if you aren't used to attending Matins, you might find it a little hard to follow at first, even if you're using Ages as a service book. It takes a little while to start to recognize the different parts of the service, but before too long, you'll begin to hear things that sound familiar, and also to understand the why of what you're hearing. It won't seem so random anymore. Give it a try this Sunday, or maybe for at least a few Sundays. Print the attached PDF and take it with you, and be sure to follow along in Ages so you'll recognize the different sections. If you don't know how to use the Ages app yet, check out my other video about using Ages as a service book. You might enjoy the chanting, but don't look to be entertained. Look for ways that these hymns teach you and lead you to prayer. See you next week, and let me know what else you want to hear about. This video came about just because someone asked the question. What's your question about our church's music? Leave it in the comments.